I'll quickly tell the supplies that are required. We'll need a pre-outlined watercolor paper. This is what it can be of a little bit different size. That's okay as long as it looks like a teapot. Then we'll need a paint set. I know I have a good amount of colors, but I think you'll have sufficient colors to paint the teapot and the background, and you can choose your own shades as well. We'll need a flat paintbrush, a round paintbrush, whichever you have, and I'll tell you which one to use when. You might need a pencil, an eraser, a cup of water, and paper towel. I think this is what we need. Okay, so here's my outlined watercolor paper. And the paintbrush that we will be starting with is your round paintbrush. And we will be coloring in or shading in the teapot. And just enjoy the process because the journey matters more than the destinations. And I hope you will feel happy when you reach the destination. So we will start with the first technique, and I think most of you know those who have done watercolor session with me. It's called the wet on wet technique, where we'll be wetting the elements, we'll be wetting some portions of the teapot or the element, and we'll be applying a color with the help of the paintbrush and some water on the paintbrush. So let's start. I'll also tell you the colors that I have used. I know you don't have exactly the same colors as I have. The initial painting was kind of grayish towards the edges to give kind of a shadow effect. But Lynn, I just want to ask quickly, do you have a gray color in the kit?
No,
No.
we can.
So I created another version. I was like, I had an idea they might not be gray. So this is kind of a purple and blue, and I'm sure you all must be having some kind of purple or blue in your kit.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's create something like this. We are going to learn a few things along with painting, and I'll tell you along we are painting. I'll keep this aside and I'll keep on showing you again and again to refer to. So we have taken a round paintbrush. Dip your paintbrush in water and go along the right hand side edge of the bottom portion of the teapot. Don't fill in the entire area, don't fill in the entire body of the teapot. Once that is done, the next step is to take some color on the brush. Now, the color choice is again yours. You can take blue, you can take purple, you can take pink. Just make sure there's a nice balance. Now, before the water dries, I'm going to take some purple. Before you apply it on your painting, and I always suggest that, check it on your paper towel. Take a lighter version of the color and just see the movement of the brush the way I'm doing it. Uh, Direct the tip of the brush towards the outline. And if you see it's very light, you won't be able to see it right now. I would suggest take the lightest version of the color and go along the edge. Since the base is wet, the color will start spreading on its own. I'll bring it a little bit more closer just to show you I have the lightest version of purple, and that's how watercolors should be started with. Next is layering. I'm taking a bit more of the purple so that now you all can see it. Before applying it, just check it on your paper towel and layer it on top. Watercolors, the golden rule is always start with the lightest version of the color and then layer again and again to get a darker touch.
Let's take it on close. Let's take this one. I'm waiting for the reasons.
Now, as I'm applying the color, as I'm applying the layers of color, the color is spreading. Is it happening to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Even if it's not happening, I got a mixed response. So just take a little more water on the paintbrush. You can go the other way around. The base might have started getting dried, so let's just add a little water and spread it inwards. What will happen? I hope you all can see the color now on the screen, on even on the bigger and the smaller screens. On my teapot, the color is getting faded as I go further. But I am not filling in the entire teapot right now. So maybe up till here, if I bring it back to the position, this is how much I have colored it. The reason why I started with the edge, I wanted a darker shade of the color. But as I moved inside, I added more water and I faded the color so that it blends in with the paper shade. Now, this technique is a mix of wet on wet technique and the soft edge technique. You're creating a soft edge as you reach the end of your element or the portion that you are shading in. Any questions till now? No questions? Everyone okay? Okay. So before this color dries, before the base dry, let's add another shade on top of it. Layer another shade on top of it. Since we are not using gray, I would suggest use any version of blue. So if you see mine, it's kind of light, but I think I have told that before and I'll repeat that the amount, the I would say the brightness or the lightness of the color depends on the proportion of water and color you are taking. Now, before you apply it, check it on your paper towel. I feel it's quite bright. That means I have less water and more color. So I'll just let it absorb on the paper towel so that I get the lightest version of blue and layer it over my purple. Now, if you see, I am using the side of my brush to spread the color. And if you see, it's getting a little brighter. It's giving kind of a bluish, grayish effect, but I don't want to cover the entire purple. I want to have a hint of purple in there too. I want to have a mix of both to get a gradient touch. Before the color dries, you can clean your brush and use just a little water on the tip of the brush and go over both the shades before I am not sure if everyone can see on the screen.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, this part that I'm showing, the pointing where I'm pointing to, it got a little hard. Like when it will dry, it will give me a line at the end once it dries. So before it dries, I'm just using a little water to fade it out so that it has a smooth texture to begin with. Now, with this, we are actually have started with the first layer of our teapot or the element. And watercolors is just not first layer. You can go to second layer, third layer, and apply the same techniques and process. Let's move to the left hand side of the body of the teapot or the bottom portion of the teapot. Let's apply the wet on wet technique. Now, I think you must be thinking why I'm asking you just to do the edges first. The reason is we want to keep the center part a little lighter than the side parts. The reason why I'm asking you to keep the center a little light, we are trying to give a little perspective to the teapot. We are trying to give a three-dimensional effect to the teapot, and we are thinking as if the light is falling towards the center of the teapot and it gives a lighter effect towards the center, a shine from the paper itself, and the sides, a shadow is created as light falls on the center. So that's the perspective effect that we can have on our element. I'll also be sharing a review of this session to Lynn, and I have a complete tutorial video of how to create this along with the techniques that we have learned or will be learning during the session. So I'm just wetting the left hand side and starting with the same process, starting with some purple color, checking it on the paper towel, and going along the left hand side edge, letting the color spread. Now, as I see the right hand side, I can see some hard edges forming. So before the color dries, if yours is also forming a hard edge, just go over with a little water. And I think I didn't mention that in this session, but I have mentioned that before in the previous watercolor sessions. Try not to rub your paintbrush too hard on the paper. That way it will create some paper dust, which which will like kind of stay until your paper is wet, and then you can take it off once your paper is dry. But try not to rub it. Let's take some more purple. Here, the way I'm adding purple is with the help of strokes, not with the help of the tip of the brush. Like I'm using the side of the brush to spread the color. Always try to use the side of the brush to spread the color and tip of the brush to add details. I think I'll just move the color or spread the color to the joint where the top and the bottom of the teapot are meeting.
Keep it between us. Oh, you have your own group. Okay.
And then layer over with some blue. Now, it's your choice. You want to check it before you apply it. As I said earlier, try to have the lightest version of the color, whichever you are using. Even if you have a dark blue color, you can make it light by adding more water, less color, and letting it get absorbed on your paper towel. Now, can you all see on the screen a little shine coming from the paper itself? That's a highlight from the paper. If not, you can quickly take your paper towel, dab it on the areas where you want a little more shine coming from the paper. And this is what I have done. And I hope you all can see on the screen a little bit of a light texture coming from the paper. With this, I would like to introduce you to a new term and technique which is called the tonal value. Now, it's the tone, it's the shade that brings in a darker effect or a lighter effect to your paint. And this tonal value is a technique wherein when you add more color, less water, the tonal value gets darker or more. And when you use more water, less color, the tonal value gets lighter. And that's what we are doing. The tonal value is more towards the edges and it gets lighter and lesser as we go towards the inside. And the inside part has the lowest tonal value because it's the shade coming from the paper itself. Again, my session that I do always is not only to create the painting right now, also to help you so that you can create your future paintings even without my help. Though I want more sessions, definitely, Lynn. Uh, so I would love to do more with you all. So this is what we have created as the first layer of the teapot. I know the shades are exactly not the same for the first reference picture, but the second one I have used the almost the same kind of colors. Now, if you have no questions, we can continue further. If yes, you can ask me anytime. You can even put it in the chat. Okay, I think everyone is good. Let's move to the top part, the cap of the teapot. And or the cover of the teapot, we'll be doing the same kind of effect, same almost the same colors and layering and trying to keep the center portion of the top part lighter or the shade coming from the paper. So again, we'll be applying the wet on wet technique. Just apply some water with the same paintbrush, the same round paintbrush that you have been using. Apply it towards the right hand side edge. Now, since the element is smaller, you can even add water towards the left hand side, but keep the center part dry. Don't add any water there. Once that is done, I think you all know which color to use now. That should be purple. Check it on your paper towel and then just go along the edge. On the right hand side edge, I don't see much color, so I'm going to layer again with more of purple. The reason why you always need to start or should start with a lighter version of the color or the shade, that it gives you scope for adding more layers of color. But if it is dark initially, you'll have lesser chance to make it lighter. So just to make your job easier, start with a lighter version of your shade or the color that you're using. Here I'm keeping a little shine in the center again. We are right now, as I said earlier, we are creating the base shade of the teapot or the element. And the process stays the same for all the other areas or the other places, that is the handle, the spout, and the bottom base of the teapot. So the next thing is, I would suggest don't apply wet on wet technique in the smaller areas. Let's apply dry on dry technique. So some of you might know what is dry on dry technique, but I'll still repeat what it is. It is just dipping the tip. Was there any question? Okay. So it's just dipping the tip of the brush in water and taking some color on the tip of the brush and applying on a dry base. That's why, in short, it's called a dry on dry technique. Now, I think you all must have guessed which color to start with. Can anyone tell? I heard purple. Okay, yes, it is purple. So I thought I'm talking, let everyone talk too. So take some purple on the tip of the brush and just see where I'm adding it. Add it towards the bottom part of the handle. Don't cover it all. And same way, add it to the top part of the handle. Don't cover it all. And the next thing is to give a shine to the center part of the handle so that it gives a three-dimensional effect. Just clean your brush, no water, no color, and now add some water on the tip of the brush and extend this color. Pull this color further that you've already added towards the center. It will give the least tonal value to that area and give a shine to your handle. Again, I know some of you might have picture of the reference painting. Uh, I think everyone just wants to get the final effect, but don't rush in that. It's just a repetition. It's a repetition and layering of colors again and again when you get the right effect that you need. And we don't need to make a copy of the reference picture. Add your own touches as well. Let's come to the base. And again, we need to do the same uh, shading, add some purple towards the left, like going from the left towards the center, going from the right towards the center, and keep some shine from the paper itself. If you see, white watercolor paint is not at all effective. You won't get any white shade with it. So it's better to get the white highlights from the paper itself. Now, if it gets covered fully and you were not able to leave some portion, quickly clean your brush and just use a dry brush to go over the area where you want to keep it lighter. And this technique is called lifting, where you lift the extra color and water. And in case it's not getting lifted, just use your paper towel and dab a bit to absorb the extra color. And I think if you have done watercolors before, I'm sure you will feel the same, because for me, what the paper towels are actually best friends if I'm doing watercolors as well as water, because water helps a lot in fading out the shades, in making them lighter and giving a nice effect to the painting. Now we are left with the base shading of the spout that is on the left, and all we need is again dry on dry technique. No need to wet the base and start with the
Excuse
purple
me.
shade.
Excuse me, don't you want to add a little blue to the base? It looks too
We
purple.
can add it, but if you want to keep it purple, you can keep it purple as well. Like if in the reference picture you see, I just added purple. If you want to add, I can quickly do it with you. Since I had little purple, just dip the brush, take some blue, and layer over top. Just the same way as you did the purple, do some blue on top. Again, the color choice is yours. You can do the way or the colors that you want to add. Now, if you see, it's got a little brighter. So all I'll do is use a little water and extend it further. But I still want to keep that shine in between. So I'll dab it a bit to get the right shade. So, applying paper towel to lift the color is not actually correcting a mistake. It's a technique which is called lifting, where you lift the extra color. Now we are left with the spout. And again, now if you see the reference picture, I'll show you, but I'll also tell you what to do. On the right hand side of the spout, I have added some purple. And if you think it's too light, you can add another layer. And if you see the way I'm shading in, even before as well, try not to drag your paintbrush. Try to layer one stroke over the other. Once that is done, just use a little dry brush and go over that paint that you've already applied to give a little faded effect so that initially the color is a little darker. As you go down, it gets lighter and blends in with the paper. The bottom part is still white. If it is the same for you, we can use another color. And I'm sure you all must be having some brown in your paint set. Do you all have brown?
Yes.
Okay, so let's apply the dry on dry technique and take some brown, whichever dark or light you have. Check it on your paper towel and I'll show you. Just go along the bottom edge. Don't layer over the purple. Go along the bottom edge of the spout. The color will start spreading because the base is wet with the purple shade. Quickly, with a little water, no color, just spread this brown a bit towards the inside of the spout, kind of blending with your purple. Try to rub, but very lightly, so that the color starts spreading towards the inside. And then if you want to add a little bit more hint of brown, you can add dabs of brown shade with the help of your paintbrush so that it doesn't just seem like a prominent outline of brown. And I think have mentioned dabbing before, but I'll repeat what it is. It's actually putting the tip of the brush on the paper while the paper is wet with the color on it and pressing the brush a bit to kind of spread the color with the help of the dabs. That is, adding the tip and pressing the brush on paper. Once that is done, if you want to still leave a little space of white or highlight from the paper, this is the best time because it is still wet. Use your dry brush, it shouldn't have any color or water, and go over the center area lightly to give a little shine. If it doesn't work, just use the corner of your paper towel and lightly go towards the center. It will give a bit of shine or the paper highlight where you don't even need to use a white watercolor paint. Acrylics, as compared to watercolors, in terms of using white color, it's quite easy. You don't need to leave highlights. You can easily use acrylic white paint in acrylic art. Now here I just see a few hard edges. So wherever you see hard edges, just go over with the help of water. Do you see a little small little oval shaped mouth of the spout? All you need is you don't need to add extra color on the paintbrush. Just use a little water and spread the color from the spout to the mouth. You'll get a lighter version of the color that is inside it. I hope everyone is good till now. Any questions? No questions? Everyone is happy till now?
Yep.
Okay. So let's move to the next step, I would say. That is, I know there's a small little crown that is left on the top of your cap. So, same way, dry on dry technique, just use some purple shade and go along the edge, dry on dry. No wet on wet, just use some water and color on the brush and go along the edge. I hope you all can see that small little portion. I'm zooming it in. Leave a little shine again. And I think when you are done with the painting, you will understand why this shine was there in order to give as much three-dimensional effect we can give to our painting or the element. So if you see, it's darker on the top or darker on the side and lighter on the edge. So it's somewhere like a mix of light and dark, but with the same color. I think you all must have observed that even with one color, you can create two shades in watercolors. When you add more water, the color gets lighter. When you add less, it gets brighter. Now, while it is getting dried, while the entire teapot, the base shading is getting dried, let's create a little shadow for the teapot. And I'll show you as a reference. This is the shadow part. I've just zoomed it in so that you can see, and it's quite easy. All you need is a dry on dry technique. You are not wetting the base. Let me just keep it a little far so that you can see the painting. Also, with this, I just remembered try to see your painting from far. That will give a more three-dimensional effect, and all artists do that. And it gives a little bit more realistic view to the painting. Now, with again the dry brush, let's apply dry on dry technique. And the shades, if you see, I have used some blue for the shadow, then some purple, and then some brown. So it's like three colors that I have used, which are already used in the teapot as well. If you want to add some other shade, it's your choice, but take a lighter color if you want to layer on that. So the first color that I'm going to use is, and the technique that I'm going to apply is the dry on dry technique. That is, dip the tip of the brush in water, and I'll show you the color as well. So this is the purple I'm taking. I'm checking it on my paper towel, how bright or light it is. It seems to be quite light, so I'm just making it a little bit more brighter. Now here the way I'm going to apply the color is sideways strokes. Using the tip of the brush to apply the color, and and the shadow is kind of smaller towards the left, that is of the spout, and a little bit longer towards the right, that is for the handle of the teapot. Just try to go very randomly with the sideways stroke, somewhere big, somewhere small strokes, in order to give a shadow effect of the teapot. Now we are not going to stop here, we are going to layer on top with some blue. So I'm taking my blue. You can take any blue, check it on your paper towel, and just add layers of blue over the purple. Somewhere the purple can be seen, somewhere it will be covered by the blue or another color. And are you all also observing that by the end of the stroke, sometimes there is no color on your paintbrush? You're kind of dragging it, but very little is coming out. That technique is called the dry brush technique, where you are applying the color. By the end, it's too less. Still keep on applying. That will give kind of a dotted texture, which is good for your shadow or reflections. Now, here I'm just adding a bit more purple. I can alternate between the colors. And after this, the last color, what I have added is brown. But again, it's your choice. The color choice is yours if you want to add brown or not. Here I'm taking some brown, checking on my paper towel, and adding it as a layer, but trying not to hide the previous shades. And you will see that the color will start spreading because the base has gotten wet with the color or the shades that you have used previously. I think I have overwhelmed you with a lot of information, but love to know, is it like happening there on your canvases, on your paper? Are you getting the touch that you need? And most importantly, are you having fun?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, having fun.
Great, Lynn. So, Let's continue to the next portion or the next element. It's kind of layering on top of the teapot, and after that we'll move to the background, that is the wall part, and that is the most fun part. So take your round paintbrush and use the tip of the brush just to add a little bit more details to the teapot, because I'm sure the teapot must have dried by now. So all you need is use the same colors as you've used for the base shading. Like I have used mostly purple throughout. So let's dip the tip of the brush and apply dry on dry technique. Dip the tip and take some purple, any purple, dark or light. Check it on your paper towel. It shouldn't be too dark, but since we are adding details, it can be a little darker. So it will have a little bit more tonal value. Now, I'll just bring the screen a little closer now. So we are outlining the teapot, but not throughout. With the tip of the brush, just go over small portions, leaving a little gap, and then add the highlight again, add the outline again, and keep on going throughout the teapot. Now, is the screen clear to everyone? Like, can you see that outline that I am not continuing it throughout? I am just adding small effects. Lynn, is that clear there too?
Very.
Okay, great. So I think that will be a new thing for our sessions. We'll be able to do hybrid. Knock on the wood, though. So, continuing further, wherever you want to add a darker touch or outline or kind of add depth to your teapot, I'm going to the handle now. You can add it there, you can add it to the base. And I'm continuing with the outline. Again, I'm here to help you if you have any questions. Here I'm going on the bottom section. Let me bring it back. Now, while you're working on the outline, are you seeing like some prominent lines, some hard edged lines? If that is happening, I'll tell you quickly what to do. Clean your paintbrush, just use a little water and go over these lines or curves or outlines that you have added so that they get a little faded and they extend and pull out the color towards the inside of the teapot and fade it out. That kind of it helps in fading out these prominent outlines. Since it's a fresh outline you're adding, I think it should add it to your kettle or the teapot or add a little bit shading to your elements. Now, here I'm going to the spout as well, giving a little outline there. And before it dries, I am cleaning my brush using some water and spreading it further to the inside. So it's kind of applying the dry on dry technique and then using some water to pull out some color in order to fade it out and add the shade to the inside element. Now, as one of you also asked whether we can add blue to some of the areas where we haven't added blue to, you can definitely add some blue. So even when your base is dried, you don't need to apply the wet on wet technique. So I'll just bring my paint here and bring the camera a little back so that you can see the color as well. You can add some blue shade, check it on the paper towel. Like here, I'm doing it towards the right hand side of the cap or the cover, and I'm trying to fade it out. But if it's not fading out, I'm just adding a little bit of water to fade it out, but still, if you can see on the screen, I have added a hint of blue to the right. We don't need two darker shades on the teapot because we want to create a nice balance of background and the teapot. Here in the reference picture, the background is darker and the teapot is lighter to maintain the balance, and that's what we are trying to maintain in our painting. Same way, now is the time to add more layers. So if you want to add a little bit more shading with the same colors, you can definitely add some purple to your base shade, like you can see I'm doing that. Or you can layer on top with some blue. But if you choose to do it later, you can also do it later once your background is done. I just want to give you an idea of the entire painting and the process. Now I'll see a little hard edge there, so I'm just going over with my dry brush to fade out the edge and give a faded texture, a smooth texture to my element or the portion of the teapot. Same way I'm going to do on the left. Randomly, I'm adding strokes and just try to go a little free flow, a little free with watercolors. That will give you more scope to enjoy. And same way, I'm going to add it to the left hand side of the cover. Since it got a little brighter, I'm just using my dry brush to absorb the extra color. Let's move to the background. And I am sure you like that. You love that process more than anything out of all the elements that we have done. And I would actually relate it to meditation because I have right now, I've been seeing so many videos about watercolors and how it is being related to meditative process or meditation and relaxation. This is because of the wet on wet technique. Because when you apply water and color, the way the color spreads, and watercolors, they have a mind of their own. They just spread, and it gives a kind of relaxation, a feeling of relaxation to your mind. And I hope you'll all enjoy this process. So let's start with wetting the wall. That is the background behind the teapot. Is everyone ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So for this, you can use your flat paintbrush. And with a flat paintbrush, you can wet the entire background. And don't worry that the color from the teapot will spread in the background. It is okay for it to spread because you are using the same set of colors for the background as well, but a little bit darker version of them. So now let's wet the wall again. Throughout, above the line that is above the shelf or the table, behind the teapot. And if you want to use your round brush for wetting, you can use. Just to make your job easier, you can use your flat brush because the water will spread a little bit more quicker. Just keep it so that you can see the entire painting. I'm almost done with wetting. Now, I'm not sure, but I have been asked many times this question that how much water to apply. Now, that's a tough question to answer. All you need to do is add one layer of water, and you might be seeing that your paper shape is changing. It's kind of creating a little warp, a little bit of a bulge in the center. That is okay for it to happen because that's how watercolor paper works. And once it dries, it will come back to the shape. Once wet, just want to make sure, if you want to make sure, just go to the side, to the left or right of the paper and see if you see some reflection from the light. That means your background is quite wet. Now is the next step. That is, use your round paintbrush or your flat paintbrush, whichever you are comfortable with. Try one. If it doesn't work, use the other. I'm using my round one. And the first color that I'm going to start with is blue, whichever blue you have, light or dark. Dip the entire paintbrush in water. We are applying wet on wet technique. I'm taking my blue. I have a darker blue, but whichever blue you have, check it on the paper towel and put. I'm going from the left hand side edge of the teapot. Put the tip of the brush and press the brush. Do you see the color spreading outside the teapot? Anyone can say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay, great. So keep on continuing. Choose your own pace, but try to be a little faster because you are not doing any details here, and it will help in spreading the color more easily and more faster because the base is still wet. Now we are using many colors in here, so we don't need to fill in the entire background with blue. But let's continue with more layer if you want a darker shade in the background. This is the base layer of the background. You can apply more layers to make the shades darker even later. So I think I will add some blue towards the left, some blue towards the right, and during this process, your base will start getting dried. So all you can do is, if you think that's the color is not spreading nicely, that means your base is not wet enough. Take some water and add it further on the color and spread the color further to the white areas of your paper. So you can go the other way around here. And if you see the process, if you see the way I am using my paintbrush, I'm putting the tip, pressing the brush, putting the tip, pressing the brush, but I'm going faster because the more faster I am, the lesser time I have to think. We don't need much thinking. We just need to go with the flow and keep on adding the first layer of the color that you are using. Now I think I have a good amount of blue and I can add another layer later even, so I can continue with the next color. I've tried to use almost the same colors that I have used in the elements. So the next color I'm using is purple. I can show on the screen as well. Check it on your paper towel. Now I'm moving to purple. I'm not layering purple on blue. I am adding some purple next to blue, somewhere on the border where the two colors are meeting, and extending it further towards the left hand side. I'll bring it a little far so that you all can see. If you see too many dots happening or uh, created on your background, what you can do is add some more water. As I said earlier, it's your paper towel and water. These are your two best friends if you're using watercolors to paint. Now here I have a little bit portion left, so I'm thinking let me go back to my blue so that it maintains a balance between the two colors. Before that, I have a little purple on the brush, so I'm spreading that, taking some blue, and now I can see the color is not spreading much. That means my base is not nicely wet or it has started getting dried. So I'm just adding a bit water and spreading the color along. But on top of that, now it will be easy for me to spread the blue. So here is my blue on top, layered a little bit on the purple, a little bit towards the top left corner. Again, the color choice is yours. If you like blue with the pink, you can add pink as well. Do you all agree with me? What I said earlier, is this process a little easier and fun as compared to the other elements?
Yes. Just.
Great.
Yeah.
That's good. Good to hear that. Now I'm left with the bottom portion that is of the wall itself. So I'm taking a little bit of brown. I just want to make sure that I use all the colors that I have used in my teapot in order to maintain a little bit of balance and contrast between the elements and the background. So if you see the movement of my brush, it's going faster because I'm better when I'm faster in dabbing, applying the wet on wet technique. Here I'm adding another layer. So I also want to mention that once your color dries, and once the water dries, you'll see a little difference in your shades. Because when you'll paint right now, in a day, you'll see the color has faded a bit. That's the reason is that watercolor paper, it absorbs the water once it dries, and the water also gets evaporated as well as the color gets absorbed and evaporated along with the water. So in case you want to darken the effect anywhere, you can apply the water again on the first layer of the base shading that you had done, and apply the same colors with the same technique of dabbing and wet on wet technique to get another brighter layer on the element. So you know the techniques, and now you can easily follow them for the next layer as well. Now here on the right, I'm extending some purple, just maintaining a balance between blue and purple. If you see, it got a bit bright. So all I can do is add a little water and spread it further so that it extends or pulls the color further and makes it faded. Isn't the background giving or bringing life to the teapot?
Thank you.
And I feel that the darker background is kind of making the teapot a little stand out as compared to previously when it was white on the background. Now I am just left with a little bit more portion, so I'm thinking I'm just adding blue on purple. It gives a nice mix of colors. Now, if the color starts flowing to the next area, quickly dab it with a paper towel. That will absorb the extra color, and if the color is too bright, continue with adding more water and spreading it further.
Who's doing all that class?
Now I'm just using some blue, and here in between this handle, some part of the wall is being seen too. So if you want to add some color there, just make sure you don't add too much color. It might go to the handle. Quickly dab it if it goes in. Even if it goes in, it's almost the same colors that we have used in the teapot that we are using in the background. Just to limit it within, I have my best friend, that's my paper towel, so that it stays within the wall area. And this process is called lifting. Anything that goes under, that is on the table or the shelf, you can quickly add some water and dab it with your paper towel again in order to fade it out. That's what I'm doing here on the left and the right. And this process again is called lifting. And also, I had applied a tape that is a masking tape, but I didn't ask you to have it because I know it was not provided in the kit. So anything, any color that goes on the tape can again come off with the tape, and it will give a nice edge to the painting, a nice frame to the painting. Okay, so let the wall get dried, the background get dried. Again, to maintain a balance, even if you want to keep the table part, the shelf part all white, you can keep it as is. Or you can apply the lighter colors like yellow or blue towards the left or the right. If you see the reference picture, here's some yellow that I have added, if you can see on the screen, and there is some light blue that I have added towards the left. It's very simple. Just make sure that your paintbrush is clean, whether it's a flat brush or a round brush. Apply water towards the right hand side of the teapot, towards the right hand side of the shadow. The shadow must have dried by now. I'm just applying water towards the right now, and all I'm going to do is apply some yellow color there. You can use any color of your choice. Make sure that it is not too bright. Check it on the paper towel. And then just with the stroke, sideways strokes, just add it towards the right hand side. If you feel it's getting too bright, mine is like okay, but if just want to show you the process, just dab with the paper towel on the areas you want it light, use some water and spread it further. I know the wall is also not dried yet, so some color from the wall might start going in your shelf. That is okay if you want to keep it as is. Otherwise, just dab it. It's quite fresh, so lifting is a nice technique to work on here. Then on the left, you can apply some light blue by applying your water first. In order to get the lighter version of the blue, I think you all know what to do. You need to just take the blue, check it on the paper towel, get the lightest version of it, and then apply it sideways with the help of sideways strokes. That way, the shelf will get a lighter version and a nice balance with the wall, which is quite bright. Also, if you want to add a little bit of shine to your teapot, you can add a hint of yellow without applying any wet on wet technique. There's no hard and fast rule, but since I have added on the reference picture, you can take some yellow on the tip of your round brush, check it on the paper towel, and just add small hints anywhere on the white portion. Like here on the right hand side, if you see on the screen, I'm adding a little bit of yellow. And I feel it's getting a little brighter, so I think you all can guess what to do. Add some water and spread it further, or lift it with your dry brush. Can you all see a little bit of a yellow there on the screen? It's the very lightest version, and same way you can do on the cap. I didn't ask you to do that earlier because we were adding blue as well and purple, so the colors might have changed to brown or green, mixing with blue and purple. So now is the right time since the base has dried. Now here it got bright again. All you need is a little bit water, a little bit lifting, and then again some water to spread it further. Dabbing, lifting, and spreading are helpful in getting the right shade in your painting. So let's move to a little bit of pattern on the teapot. It's quite easy. It's just dry on dry technique. So use your thin brush or a round paintbrush and whichever color flower do you want, you can use that. Um, and I have added a very simple pattern like a three petaled flower, then some leaves, then a curve, then some petals again, just to give a little bit more grace and life to your teapot. And the color, I think you all must be having some red. So just take some red on the tip of the brush and a little bit of water just to activate your brush and check it on the paper towel. That's what I'm doing. And I'm just going to make sure that the center part is completely dried.
This is what.
Now, the next thing is in the center, somewhere on the body or the bottom part of the teapot, I'm just making a petal. I'll just bring it closer. Is the lightest version of the color. Then, if you want to add a little bit more, you can. It's a simple flower, and also you can add your own patterns if you want. You don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing for the pattern. It's like two petals and then one more. It's like a three petaled flower that I have made, but you can definitely make more petals. Now, on the left and the right hand side, try to center them as much as you can. We are not using any tool there. On the left hand side corner, near the left hand side corner and the right hand side corner, I'm going to make like two petals on the right and two petals on the left. Any way you want to create them, left handed, left sided, or right sided. Once that is done, Since we are already working with red color or maroon color, you can also add some petals or floral shapes towards the area where the top and the bottom of the teapot are meeting. Like that is kind of a border and it mostly falls on the top portion, that is the cap. So, and you can just add a few petals, leaving a bit gap. If you see a reference picture here on the screen, there are like two petals, one after the other, leaving a little bit of gap in between where we can add small stems with the green. So here I am doing some petals starting from the left, leaving a bit of a gap, then adding another set of petals. Keep on going until you reach the end or the right hand side of the cap or the cover. Again, you don't require too much measurements there, just a bit of a gap in between will help. Once this is done, you can clean your paintbrush. Again, work at your own pace. Even if you're not able to complete the painting or you're not able to get the right effect that you want, you can layer it later as well. I'll share a complete tutorial video of what we have done today. Now I'm taking any green that you want, you can take. I'm taking a darker green. You can take any green shade that you have. Check it on the paper towel and connect these flowers, like the top flowers or petals that you have created. Just add a curve or an S shape. I'll bring it more closer. I've created kind of an S shape or a curve to connect them and to add some nice green shade with the red, because green and red, it goes well. And in the on the bottom part, you can again take some green, this area, and connect these petals with the bigger curves. Like you can add an S shape lightly with the tip of the brush. Try not to rub your brush too much or add too much pressure, just the lightest pressure, like a feather touch. I've added two curves just to connect the petals and the flowers. And then kind of extend it further towards the right, extend it further towards the left. It's like a texture we have on the teapots. That's what I tried to create. And then you can even add some leaves to these stems. Like on the center flower, around the center flower, you can create like two leaves or as much looks good and proportionate. Then two leaves towards the right, and maybe some leaves on the left and the right. Now I'll bring the camera a little far. The pattern is done. You can even add more anywhere on the edges, on the bottom, on the top, wherever you feel like. Should I tell you one more step and then we are done? But only if you want to do it. I have introduced that technique before as well. It's called spattering, and I think Lynn knows it well. You must have guessed it already. It's just a way to add a little bit more magic touch or a little bit of more grace to your picture. That's the easiest step, but if you want to apply it, then only do it and check it on your paper towel before you apply it on your painting. So just keep a separate paper towel to try it on. All you need is just take your round paintbrush, dip it entirely in water, and add this water or any color that you have used on your painting. Like you can take some purple there. I'm taking my purple, whichever purple, but add a good amount of water on the palette itself. Check it on your paper towel It can be bright, but make sure it's a little bit watery so that it can easily spread nicely on your painting. Before you apply it, check it on your paper towel. Now keep your paintbrush parallel to the paper. I'll just keep it as like this. And tap the neck of your paintbrush with your finger. You can add a good amount of pressure in the tapping and keep on moving your paintbrush around so that you have a nice pattern and spread of these dots. You don't need too much at one point, so just make it a little consistent and balanced. So while tapping, keep on moving the paintbrush. Same way, you can use another color that is blue, that is also used in the painting. And I'm using a little darker blue. You can use a light blue or dark blue, whichever you have. Check it on the paper towel again and then tap it. You don't need too much, and you can easily stop wherever you feel you're happy with your painting or the effect. Now I'm just taking off my masking tape or the art tape. If any one of you has applied it, you can also take it off, and it gives such a nice frame and a nice clean edge to your painting. So now here it is, the entire painting. Again, you can add more layers, you can add more texture to your painting whenever you want. Apply the wet on wet technique again, and you will get a nice effect, a brighter effect, and until you want it to be done. But try not to overdo. This was all for today. I hope you all enjoyed the session as much as I have enjoyed it with you all.